All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew Coast, and welcome to 15 communication mistakes that instantly turn men off. And today we're going to be talking about, different types of communication issues that a lot of women do that end up ruining their chances with men, that turn men off, that kind of make guys pull away or disappear on them. These mistakes can make a guy decide that you're not relationship material, or you're not the right type of man, or sorry, the right type of woman to be in the relationship that he wants to have with you. And it can turn a passionate connection into a cold, boring, or dull one. And so today we've got Helena Hart with me. So say hi, Helena.
Hey everyone, we're so excited to be here. This is a really important topic.
It is a really important topic, and this is our second take of it. So hopefully this time it works out. so,
I think it's
um,
working. I see
you
it
think it's
now.
working?
Before, yeah, it was. I couldn't see it before, but it's happening now, so we're good.
Okay. So let's talk about these different mistakes that a lot of women make, and some of the things that you can do to kind of switch things around and flip it around and make it so that you can attract and keep the guy that you want to have in your life. And so number 14 or number 15, there's 15 of them. And number 15 is kind of an overview of the different ones that we have, and a kind of way, kind of an overall way of going forward if you want to be really attractive and you want to keep the passion alive in your relationship. And so number one is always trying to say the right thing. So there is this, we have a Facebook community here that a lot of women are a part of. We have a couple thousand people in our Facebook community. And I have this program that I sell. It's called the Love Frames Toolkit. And the Love Frames Toolkit is a program about creating the frames that you want to have around your relationship, or creating the frames that you want to have in a relationship when you're dating a guy. And we had somebody get on there a couple of weeks ago, and she kind of pasted her conversation that she had with the guy that she's dating. And if you looked at it, she took the frames and she said one after the next, after the next, after the next. Because she was trying, like at the end, she's like, okay, what do I say now? Right. And I just want to throw out there that even if we give you things to say, or, ways to talk, or any of that kind of stuff, it doesn't replace organic conversation, right? Like, you need to still have like normal and regular conversations with the guy. And a lot of the things that we talk about and the things that we say, we might have you say, they're not things that, they shouldn't completely replace your conversation and it just be about those things. I'm sure that there's plenty of people that might want that, but it's not a very healthy way to be in a relationship. And the man doesn't actually get to know who you are if you're doing that. And so you want to have them, if you do end up with the Love Frames Toolkit or one of those programs that we have, or listening to what it is that we give you to say, just remember that it doesn't replace normal conversation. Normal conversation is very, very important, because if you're going to be in a relationship with a guy, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to have normal conversations. I think I've beaten that one like a dead horse. So, have you ever been? So, for instance, have you ever been in a like a conversation with a guy that you're not really that attracted to, and you found that the conversation really flowed and it was easy to have topics, talk about different things with him, and maybe he even became attracted to you, but you weren't really into him? Think about the state that you came from when you were having a conversation like that, right? It wasn't, am I saying the right things all the time? It wasn't like, oh, did I just say something stupid? You were probably confident. You're probably leaning back. You're probably just enjoying yourself and having fun. And when you're always kind of focused on saying the right thing, it creates kind of this weird conversation thing that ends up happening. And the guy starts looking at you and starts seeing that you're getting all weird and frustrated about what's being said and freaking out about it. And he starts feeling weird about you because of it. And so what you want to do is, instead of doing that, get into a space of feeling more confident, of kind of leaning back and just having conversations with a guy, right? Being awkward is fine. It's totally okay to be awkward. Like, if you hang out with Helena or me, we are both awkward people, right? We have lots of awkward things that we do. And we can be okay and comfortable in our awkwardness, which is, it's, if you get all weird about your awkwardness, then people will get weird about it. But if you're just like, yeah, I'm awkward and that's what's going on. And yeah, I just said something that was really weird. Like, whatever. Sorry about that. That was weird. Let's move on. That's a lot more attractive than focusing on it and being like, oh, am I saying the right thing? Am I not saying the right thing? It's like, whatever, we're all a bunch of weird people. We live on a weird planet. We do weird things. And it's okay, and it's actually adorable. It's actually something that when a guy starts to really like you, he can fall in love with. So I'm kind of just rambling on about this one. Did you want to say anything about this one?
No, you're making me laugh over here. I didn't know you were going to say that. Do you remember that meme you tagged me in on Facebook the other day? Like, it was something like, when you're smart enough to know how awkward you are, but not smart enough to not be awkward, or something like that. But it's totally like, it's not about being perfect, like, I love my awkwardness. I know that's like a weird thing to say, but you don't want to like try and be perfect all the time, because that comes across as kind of like stiff or rigid or inauthentic. And it's, people might admire you for always having the right thing to say, like in work or in other areas, but you're going to be connecting with people through what you perceive to be your imperfections or your so-called flaws. Men actually fall in love with you, and they think it's like endearing or adorable for those things that you think you might want to hide from others. It's like those million little things that you don't know you're doing. That's what actually makes a guy fall in love with you for who you are. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about, always having like the best thing to say. I see it in the comment sections of a lot of our videos, like, oh, so women, we just have to be perfect then. And that just couldn't be further from the truth. It's really not about being perfect. It's just kind of like having the awareness around where you're coming from with some of these things.
Yeah, we're all weird. That's the reality of the situation. We all have issues. We all have things that we go through, and none of us are perfect. And the more that we try to be perfect, the more people look at it and go, that's kind of weird. Like, there's something strange going on with you. Like, why are you trying to be perfect all the time? None of us are perfect. And so, yeah, so absolutely. It's a big mistake. So hi, Making Melodies. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Jay. There's lots of people on here saying hi. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Christina. Hello, hello, hello. I can be weird too. You can be weird too. Absolutely. And so another thing that I want to mention is that we're thinking about doing weekly live streams. However, in order to do that, one of the things that we just kind of created recently is this thing called memberships to support our channel and what we're doing. And it's like YouTube has created this new membership thing. And so if we need to get 20 people into our membership, and we will start doing live streams every single week. And I know there's a lot of people that love our live streams. So if you love our live streams, join our membership program. It's only $5 a month. It's pretty cheap. Underneath this video, there should be a button that says join. And if you don't see that in the description, the first line should be a link to go and join our membership for our YouTube channel. So, thank you for the people that have already joined. We just set it up a couple of days ago, and we already have people joining our membership. So thank you so much. It really supports us and supports our channel. And we'd love to be doing this all the time. So if you want us to be on here every week, talking to you about all the different things that, all the different issues that you're interested in, and answering your questions and talking to you about things that you think are important, then join our membership below. So
yeah, we'll be answering their questions, right? If they're like, we'll be taking their topics and creating live streams around what they want us to talk about too, right?
absolutely. That's exactly what we're going to be doing. Exactly what we're going to be doing. So great. All right. So let's move on to number 2. Did you want to start this one off, Helena?
No, you go ahead.
Okay. So number 2 is button pushing, right? And so there's kind of this. It's funny. Helena's laughing right now because I push her buttons a lot, and yeah, there's kind of a 2 different ways to do button pushing, and what we're talking about with button pushing is doing things to get an emotional reaction out of somebody, right? If you're trying to get an emotional reaction out of a man, right, you can push his buttons and do little things that get him all riled up, right? And sometimes that's fun, right? There's a flirty, fun, playful way to push a man's buttons, and that's great if he enjoys it and you're doing it in a fun way. However, there's a lot of women that do this because they want to, and I don't know, I don't know that much about this because I'm not a woman. But what women tell me is they want to know that he cares, right? And so what they'll do is they will push his buttons and make him try to get a reaction out of him so that they can know that he cares. And sometimes it'll be an angry reaction that they try to get out of him, or, they do it out of spite. Sometimes women will do it out of like revenge reasons, right? They're trying to just like hit a guy where it hurts, right? And all those reasons, like those ones where you're doing it because you're trying to, just get some kind of emotional reaction out of them. You're doing it out of spite or anger, or you're doing it for reasons of revenge. Those can absolutely destroy your relationship. I have a person in my family whose relationship was completely destroyed for a lot of reasons, but that was one of the big things that really kind of destroyed their relationship. And his ex-wife was really, really good at pushing his buttons, and it was a sad thing to see. And I think that if they could have, their whole story is a long story, but yeah. So button pushing, right? Doing it in a fun, flirty, playful way. You're both having fun with it. It can be great. If you're doing it out of spite or malice or anger, not so good. Do you have anything you wanted to say about that, Helena?
I'm just like trying not to laugh because I know that camera's going to switch back to me. No, I think you said it all. That was great. We should do like a whole video on you pushing my buttons when we're like.
We should do a video of me pushing your buttons because I think that would be pretty funny.
But it's just where you're coming from, and yeah, Matt loves to push my buttons, but he balances out with an enormous amount of like kindness and generosity. So it's just watch where you're coming from. Are you coming from a place where you're wanting to like get an emotional reaction from a man because you're not feeling good, because you're feeling upset or angry? So it's all about where you're coming from with so many of these. Should we move on to number 3?
Yeah, let's move on to number 3. Were you saying that because you wanted to move on to number 3?
I can start at number 3. Yeah. Okay, so number 3 is trying to push a man towards what you want. And it's like you have an agenda. There's something you want. You get the sense that he's not quite there yet. So you're on a very subtle level sometimes trying to like push him or nudge him in the direction that you want him to go. And I think, Matt, you had a great example on this one, right?
I do have a really great example. So there's this program out there, and I'm not going to name names because that always ends up bad. However, there's a program out there where these people are giving this advice where they say that you should pretend like you're already a couple with a guy, right? Which I think on the men's side, so I've done men's dating and women's dating. If you're on the men's side, I think that works better. Like if you're a man and you're pretending like you're in a relationship already with a woman, that tends to work pretty well if you're a guy and you're like, hey, I'm trying to get into a relationship with her. But if you're a woman and you're dating or seeing a man and you're trying to pretend like you're already a couple and you're trying to treat him in ways that you would like if you were a couple, and you're like doing this we're together thing, and we need to share the same bank account, and share all these different things. A guy like can sense that it's like, whoa, she's moving pretty fast for me, or she's turning this into something that I didn't want it to be. And or I'm not interested in having. I think guys are a little bit more skittish around this whole kind of concept of committing and being in a relationship a lot of times than women are. Sometimes they're not, and there's plenty of examples that we could talk about. But yeah, having some kind of like agenda and trying to turn a relationship into something that you want it to be without him wanting that as well. And, it turns into that whole concept that we've talked about in other videos where you're, swimming in the pool and he's like out of the pool, and hasn't never even got in. And he's like, I didn't even know, I didn't even want to jump in the pool. It seems kind of cold out today. Right. And you're in the pool and you're like, well, I thought we were getting in together, and he was like, we never even talked about this. Right. And that's kind of a situation that happens. You're in this you end up in this relationship, right, kind of pushing for it and creating it. And he's not even sure that he really wants to be in it yet. And I see this all the time. I'm not sure why we see it more with women than I ever saw it with men. But it tends to be more of something that a lot of women do. Did you want to expand on that?
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I have so much to say about that. I know we're trying to keep these brief. Yeah, men want to feel like they had to win you over, right? I know we're like evolved as a society, but men's brains are hardwired the same ways they were a lot of times, like since the beginning of time. They want to feel like they had to invest and work to win you over a little bit. I call this like your relationship roadmap. You don't want to be way ahead of the guy on this roadmap of your relationship, trying to like pull him along and catch him up to where you are. You want to be one step behind him. It just works so much easier that way. So yeah, he wants to feel, every man dreams of like winning over their dream girl and kind of hoping she says yes. They don't dream of ending up with some woman who was pushing and shoving and trying to like get him or force him to commit to her. It's completely backwards.
Absolutely. All right. So hi, everyone. Hi, Elise. Love your video. Thank you. Thanks for loving our videos. And one of the things that we mentioned a little bit earlier is if you guys we're looking to do live streams every single week. And if you want us to do live streams every week, we're trying to build up our membership. So it's $5 on the site. If you look below this video, there should be a join button. If there's not, in the description, you can join. It's $5 a month. And if we get 20 people, 20 people, then we will do live streams every single week. And I know there's a lot of people on here that love them. And we're going to be talking about the things that our members want to talk about. And we're going to be answering the questions that our members want answered. So, yeah, so join if you enjoy what we're doing here and want us to do more of it. All right, so next one is number 4. Number 4 we have, which is trying to fill up silence, really for any reason, right? So trying to fill up silence. So there's this thing out there, right, where there's a lot of guys who actually, it's not like a conscious thing that they do, but it's more of kind of this subconscious test that a lot of guys have for a woman. And what it is that a lot of guys will end up doing this thing where they will spend time with a woman and not talk about anything. And they'll see what she does. And if the woman can hang out with him and not try to constantly like draw his attention over or try to talk to him about a bunch of things or, fill up that space with something that she wants to do, then it's a really like it puts that woman into this relationship material category, right? Because there's going to be a lot of downtime in any relationship that you're in. And the question is, what are you going to be doing in that downtime? And so, guys are all different, right? So not every guy's the same. I'm never going to say that all guys are the same and all guys do one thing. But a lot of guys they have things that they like to do. They have passions. They have things in their hobbies in their lives that they really love. And they would love it if the woman in their life would be able to do that thing with them. Right. And so in order to do that thing with him, he wants, he needs it a lot of times so that you're not constantly like, talking and all over him about, all these different things, and that you guys can just hang out with him, hang out together in the same space while he's, pursuing his passion or doing something that he loves. I actually, in the entrepreneur space, I hear about this from guys all the time who are like, yeah, they like work from home or whatever, and they're hanging out, and it's like, can he be in that space with the woman in his life and, just hang out and have, and just enjoy the fact that they can be there together without needing to do anything necessarily together while they're hanging out. So did I run off on a tangent there, Helena?
No, I was just looking at the comments. Yeah. Stacy said, I've never intentionally pushed a man's buttons in my life. It's easy to do on accident. Yeah. Matt and I were having a really interesting conversation before, and we were coming up with this material for this live stream. And what I was saying is most of these are totally unintentional. And this is the perfect example of that, filling the space. Pretty much every client I've ever talked to, I can still do this a lot of times. It's not coming from a bad place. It's coming from a good place of wanting to like have a fun conversation and feeling anxious when there's an awkward pause. So you want to fill the space because you want the guy to be comfortable and you don't want him to think that you're a boring date or whatever it is, right? So we jump in and we fill in that space, verbally, even physically. If you're just hanging out with a guy and you feel this need to like go towards him to close that gap somehow, we can just constantly be wanting to fill the space, and it's coming from a good intention of just wanting to have a good time and connect. And it's that urge of wanting to fill in every awkward pause or even fill in the space physically that can end up pushing a guy away on a deep level. And like I mentioned, this is usually unintentional. So it's just important to become aware of what you're doing. So many of my clients say that they just stopped doing this one thing and it changed everything. Like if they were with men who were really reserved, they said, I just stopped trying to fill in those pauses in conversation. And the guy just opened up and he started talking. And that's when they were able to really connect. So this is a huge one. It's really important.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to throw out there with that too is it's kind of a masculine thing to want to fill. It's kind of a subtle masculine thing to want to fill in space, right? It's like this need to put something somewhere, right? It's going back to the masculine, feminine, and it's a feminine thing to create the space and open up the space. And so if you're out there trying to fill space, you're in this masculine. You're in this masculine energy when you're doing that. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about why that is here in a little bit. But I just wanted to answer this question, Christina. So Christina, it looks like you paid $1.99. I don't know. I think, is that a super chat? I'm not sure if you did the super chat thing or if you did the join thing. We're going to have to find out. I don't know. Maybe that is, I don't know. We're kind of new to the memberships thing. So we're still figuring this out, but 20 people, and we will start doing live. We'll start doing live streams every week. So yeah, there's that. Okay. So number 5, you want to do number 5? Helena?
Sure. Number 5, constant attention seeking, right? Always looking to the man, trying to get his attention, constantly looking for validation from him or reassurance. If it's this constant thing, it can really wear on a guy and wear on the relationship. And I think this one's a little more self-explanatory than all the others, but what do you have to say on this one, Matt?
Yeah. So this thing with constant attention seeking, it's what it is it's exhausting. Right. And so, if we want to talk a little bit more about the validation thing and I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that down in one of the other ones. But yeah, when you're constantly seeking his attention, constantly trying to get something from him or get him to do something for you, or get him to make you feel a certain way, or any of that kind of stuff, what it ends up doing, it can be okay at the beginning because the guy gives the guy kind of something to do, but long term, it becomes incredibly exhausting for the guy. And what he starts thinking, there's a bunch of different things that happen when you're in relationship with a man that can make a man think, I cannot be in a long-term committed relationship with this woman. And those things are things like feeling exhausted when he's around you. Right. So if he feels really like you suck up all of his energy and he doesn't have enough to give, and being around you is draining, that will instantly remove you from this space of being a relationship material to him. Or, there's another one, which is kind of a money thing, right? If he feels like you're really high maintenance, right? Which, there's a lot of kind of different, there's a lot of negative connotation around that phrase for a lot of good reason. However, being kind of somebody where he feels like he has to spend a lot of money when he's around you, that's also draining, right? And so things like that can put you in this space of not being relationship material, or not being somebody that he'd want to get married to, or something like that. And so the cure to this and a lot of these other things is to lean back, right? Our favorite thing, which is lean back, lean back, lean back. Okay, I'm not going to sing that song. Such an embarrassment to myself and to the world. Just kidding. Yeah, so that's that one. So let's move on to the next one. Number six is using guy talk to attract him to you. And so I meet a lot of women who make this mistake. I've talked to a lot of women who have made this mistake where they do this thing, and you'll know if you're this type of woman instantly. What they do is they'll bust a guy's balls, right? They try to they use sarcasm, which can be a fun thing sometimes if it's playful and whatnot. But if you use sarcasm and bust a guy's balls, and you're constantly making fun of him or making fun of things, he'll start to feel like you're judgmental around him. And if you're doing it towards him, he might not feel like it's safe for him to open up around you. And so it'll turn him off. It'll make him feel like, maybe he might be physically attracted to you, but going somewhere deeper with you is something that maybe he doesn't really feel like is on the table with you. There are some women who can use sarcasm in the right ways, at the right times, with the right amount, and still kind of create a strong relationship with men. But most of the women that do this are not able to do that. And so another way that a lot of women use guy talk to try to attract him is they'll talk about guy topics, right? So things like sports and, like football, like all that kind of stuff where you're talking about really heady, logical things, or really masculine guy things. Those things, if you're into it, that's cool. However, don't try to use that to attract a man. It might be a fun side hobby that you can do, with a guy where you're both into sports or something and it's fun. It could be something that you have with him. But if you're trying to use it specifically to attract a guy and it's all you talk about, what's going to end up happening is you're going to become one of the guys. And I know a lot of women who end up in this position. They become one of the guys, and lots of guys want kind of a sexual thing with them, but they don't want anything more with them, because it's like dating for a guy. It's like, oh, I'm dating another guy, and it's like, that's not fun. It's that feminine, it's that femininity, it's that feminine energy, it's that that stuff that men don't understand that's really attractive. If you want to be really attractive to a man, you need to be step into your polar opposite, which if you're attracting masculine men, which is what most of the women on this channel want to do, it's stepping into that femininity. And it's kind of interesting because I get women all the time who, they go, like, I was just at this event last week and this woman was there and she's like, hey, I'm looking for a masculine man who wants a strong woman in his life, and I'm like, like, it's so funny, and I get it. I get that you want a masculine man, but what do you think that masculine man is thinking? Is he thinking, I want a masculine woman in my life? Do I want this strong, woman around me? Am I attracted to that? Probably not, unless he's, unless something else is going on there. He's probably wants somebody that's feminine, who's got feminine traits. And it doesn't have to be all the time, but that's what creates that polarity, right? The polarity is created by femininity and masculinity. It creates this strong attraction. It creates this feeling in men that make them go, I just want to eat her up. She's just so amazing. I just love her to death. Right. And that's what leaning back and stepping into your femininity does, is it makes him feel like, okay, I'm the man of this relationship. I'm going to take on the masculine male roles of this relationship and, get into something that I want to be in. That works for me, that makes sense for me. So are you still there, Helena?
Do you need me for the rest of this? Can I just kidding. No, I totally get you. Like, totally took the words out of my mouth. Yeah, it might get you a good friend. Like, and yes, there may be attraction. He might want to sleep with you if he's physically attracted to you. But you have to, if you want him to fall in love and feel emotionally attracted to you, that part of him has to be participating, that emotional part. And you do that by connecting to your heart, to your own feminine energy, and expressing yourself from that place. And like a lot of these, a lot of times it's unintentional. You think like, oh, well, guys like sports, they like this, so I'll just talk to them at that level, and that might get you a good friend or something like that. But you have to get in touch with your feminine energy if you want to really attract a masculine energy man from like an emotional sense where he falls in love with you.
Absolutely. So, all right. Okay, so Sweden, Ulla from Sweden. Haha. Hello. Who else do we have here in the chat? He's being funny. Are you talking about me? I'm being funny. Am I being funny? Hey, Helena, am I being funny right now?
You're always being funny. You're always.
I do have kind of this like laughing humor thing that I do. Some people don't get my humor. Also, just want to mention again for those who just joined us. If you love our live streams and you want us to talk about topics that you're interested in and support our channel, and if you want us to do live streams every week and talk about your questions and whatnot, below this video there should be a join button. If you click on that join button, or in the description below, there's a button or the link that says to sign up for our membership. If you sign up for our membership, we're looking to get 20 members, and we will start doing live streams every week. So Lisa says that she's been watching the two of us for months now. Awesome.
Aww.
Thank you so much. And I hope that we are helping you out. We've had a lot. Our community is growing. We're almost at 95,000 subscribers here. So thank you everybody for being a part of that. We're not done yet though. We're on number 7. Geez, this is taking us far along. We might have to break this one up into 2. So this might be video part 1. All right. So did you want to start off number 7?
Yeah, I'm just looking at DC Christina's comment. She said one major change she made, she started listening to us for advice and not her girlfriends, and that and that made a huge difference. Yeah, I can totally relate to that too. Yeah. Getting advice from your friends, it's like they're very well-meaning sometimes, but a lot of times they don't know what they're talking about. I totally agree. Okay, we're on number 7.
Yes.
Number 7, yes. Number 7 is wrapping expectations around your communication with a guy. And this can happen all the time. Like most of these, it's unintentional. One thing I have my clients do before they say or do anything with a man, if they're questioning it, is ask themselves, what am I hoping will happen? And if they can answer that strongly, like, well, I'm really hoping that he'll ask me out for the weekend, or I'm hoping he'll do this or that, or I'm hoping he'll give me more of something, more affection, more time, more commitment. It's a big clue that you might have this strong agenda. And a man can really feel that. Men are really, really sensitive to this agenda that we can sometimes have, and it pushes him away on a very deep level. On the other hand, if you were to ask yourself, what am I hoping will happen? And the answer is nothing. I just want to express myself because this is what I'm feeling and this is important to me. Then you're good. So if you have an expectation attached to whatever it is you're sharing with a man, that can really like keep him at arm's length and prevent him from feeling safe to come close to you.
Well, and another thing that it does, and I've experienced this many, many, many times in my life, is it makes the guy feel like you're trying to control him, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're grabbing him and you're going, this is what you should be doing. This is who you should be. This is how, things should be. I don't know what that was. This is how things should be with us. And it feels gross. It feels like if he has a propensity to want to rebel against authority or something like that, or he doesn't like being controlled, that will be a big red flag for him. And he will feel really gross. It's like one of the ways that women do this sometimes is they'll say things. They'll use baiting questions, and they'll be there's powerful, healthy ways to use baiting questions, and I talk about that in one of my programs. I think I talk about that in Make Him Want You. And there's unhealthy ways to bait a guy, right? And the unhealthy way is when you're doing it with an expectation around it. So if you're like, the classic example that I think you've seen probably a million times on television is, do I look fat in these pants? Right. And it's like, you're baiting him for an answer, and it's kind of like this weird thing, like, oh, I'm not looking for the truth. I'm looking for this certain thing that you're going to do. I'm trying to force you into this this whole of how I want you to behave and what I want you to say. You can come out and say that from a place of, I don't really care what your answer is, and it's not a big deal, and I have no expectations around it. And most of the time, most of the situations that I've seen, they don't. There's actually a comment on our video today, on Helena's video that she published today, because she published a video about men getting emotionally closed off. And I think one of the things that she talked about in the video was doing this thing where you talk about how you feel. And one of the things, the comment, I can't remember exactly what the comment was, but what she said was something like, well, what if I said, I feel like, something, I feel this way because I was expecting you to do this, right? And it's like, well, that's exactly the opposite of what Helena was probably saying in the video, which is coming from the space of, expressing yourself and expressing your feelings without an expectation wrapped around it, because it's that expectation that shuts him down and makes him feel like crap and makes him be like, what are we even, he feels like he's being manipulated. He feels like he's being controlled. And most men, especially masculine men, don't like experiencing that. It actually makes his testosterone go down. It's a fact right there. Fact. Makes his testosterone. Yeah, the way that you treat a man determines the way that he experiences treatment around you. The way that you interact with him can affect the way that his how much testosterone he has at any given moment. So and going back to the other thing about where we were talking about like things that you might say, or if you want a guy to do something, instead of like creating kind of this ultimatum situation where you're forcing him to either get into a fight with you or do what you say, is giving him little signals and clues in a way that he understands, that's really, really attractive. And I talk a lot about that in the Love Frames program. So if you're interested in that, check out my Love Frames program. But peppering it throughout conversations, not all at one time, not forcing him to do something right then, but thinking about it in the long term, because creating those expectations around it can destroy the relationship that you guys have together. All right. So number 8, let's talk about number 8 here. So number eight is letting him walk all over your boundaries because you think it will make him like you. And so this one is a, you know what I think we're going to do? This is going to be the last one that we go over today. And then the next live stream that we do, we'll do the rest of them. We'll do part 2 of this live stream where we'll talk about all the rest of them. And so if you guys want us to do that live stream, make sure that you sign up as a member for our channel here. So there's a join button at the bottom of this video. So check that out. All right. So number 8 is letting him walk all over your boundaries because you think it will make him like you. And so the problem with doing this, and this can happen in a variety of different situations, right? So you're in a situation where you're like, I need to be home at this certain time, right? And then he kind of keeps you after, and you don't do anything about it. You don't let him know that let him know about your boundaries. You don't talk about it again. You don't bring it up again. He, tries to push for something, and you tell him, you set a boundary with him that you want something a certain way. And instead of stopping it from happening, you just let him continue, even though you've, expressed your boundary in the healthy, powerful way that we talked about in the last live stream that we did. If you do that, if you let a guy walk all over you, it lowers your value to him, right? He feels like you're not serious about it, like that you don't recognize your own value when you do it, even if you're like, oh, I really just, I don't think it's a big deal. I want him to like me. And so I'm going to let him do whatever he wants to do. And, it's not healthy. It's not good. It's not good for you. It creates a precedent in the relationship where he feels like he can walk all over you, and he stops treating you like you're important or a priority. And, and not all guys will do this, but a lot of guys will. Not because they're malicious or they're trying to hurt you or anything like that, but because it's just part of the social hierarchy, right? When we're around people, we teach each other how to treat us, and we teach each other what's right and what's okay and how they can behave around us. And if we start allowing people to walk all over us, they will walk all over us, not because they think that it's the right thing to do, but just because they feel like that's what you want, or you're okay with it, or maybe, all kinds of different things around that. But it's really unattractive if you're trying to get into a long-term committed relationship. If you let a guy walk all over your boundaries and just pass right through them, and you don't have boundaries, you don't have any boundaries at all, it lowers your value in his eyes, and he starts taking you for granted. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah. We did a whole live stream on this, right? Like raising your value in a man's eyes. It all has to do with setting boundaries. There's certainly a right and a wrong way to do it. I like to talk about this in terms of keeping your boundaries on the inside, like feeling really strong and really secure within yourself on the inside, which is what allows you to be open and soft and feminine on the outside, so that a man can actually get close to you. What I've really found is that if you don't feel strong, if you don't trust your boundaries, and if you don't trust yourself, you tend to want to like build these walls around you because you're scared that it's like this overextension of your boundaries where then no one can get close. So you want to think of yourself as trusting yourself, feeling really strong on the inside, and that's what allows you to be soft and feminine on the outside. So a lot of times you just need to reverse that. And a lot of women are they're afraid that setting a boundary will like scare a man off or like send him out the door completely, but that couldn't be further from the truth. If he's the right guy for you and you set a boundary, he's going to absolutely like want to respect that and honor you. And it's a really good kind of test for a man. Like if you set a boundary in this way and he disappears or he doesn't respect that, that's giving you a lot of information about what kind of relationship partner he would be. So this is something you want to know right away and start off on the right foot and just always stick to your boundaries. Always stick to them, because the right guy for you will really want to step up and respect that. Right? What do you think about that, Matt?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're 100% correct on that. If you set a boundary with a guy and he just continually tries to walk all over it, and or you set a boundary with a guy and he disappears, you're learning a lot about what's going on there. With the guy that kind of continues to try to walk all over it, what you might be experiencing there is a guy that gets what he wants a lot. And so he's attempting to put you in this category of all the other women and people that he knows, which is women and people that he can walk all over. And so if you want to differentiate yourself from all the other women out there, then you have boundaries and you stick to them. And he will either decide that, wow, she's, she has these boundaries and she's, she knows she's a valuable and important woman, and, I should keep her here with me. Or he will get freaked out or whatever, decide that he wants somebody that he can just walk all over, which typically isn't the case, and he will find somebody else. And so, it does. Maria says, does it reestablishing boundaries raise your value in his eyes? The quick answer to that is yes, it does. And if you like we talked about before, we created a video all about this. The last live stream that we did was all about boundaries. The whole video was about boundaries. And if you do it the right way, it's very attractive. And, he might have a little bit of a resistance to it. Like, I want to, like, this is what I want. But if you're doing it the right way, he'll know that your intentions are good. And he'll feel that when he's talking to you. And he might, try to push it a little bit more, like, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? And you're like, yes, I am sure about it. And he'll feel it and he'll be like, okay, I get it. And she's coming from a warm place, and she's attracted to me and she likes me, she's not totally rejecting me. One of the issues that a lot of guys have when you put up boundaries, if you're not doing it in the way that Helena and I talk about, is that they feel rejected. And so if you come out and you throw this boundary out at him and he feels rejected, that can make him leave completely. That can make him feel like you don't actually care about him, that you don't like him, that you don't love him, that you don't have his interests at heart, that you're not on the same team, that you're out for yourself, that there's something weird going on. Maybe you're seeing other people or something like that. And so when you do that in the wrong way, it can totally derail everything. And so it's very important that you get the verbiage down correctly when you're setting a boundary. And so, like I said, we talk about that in the last live stream that we did. If you want to see that, it's on, if you go to our channel page at the bottom, there's our previous live streams, and it's the last one that we did about value. So so if you're on, so Christina says there's no join button. If you are on an iPhone, in the description there should be a link in the description that allows you to join our membership. It should say something like join our membership here or something like that. If not, it'll be in the replay when we publish this on our channel. So either way, you'll end up seeing it on there sometime. I don't know. I just saw it on mine.
I'm on an iPhone. I think you have to close the chat, close the live chat, and then click the down arrow in the description, and then it's the very first one. Become a member of our channel. But you got to you have to close the chat first.
Yeah, close the chat. And like we said, if we get 20 members from this, we will do live streams every single week. And
And answer your
Yeah,
questions, right? And answer all your questions.
Yeah,
and
answer your questions. Talk about topics that you want to talk about. What else do you want to say about that? Yeah, so everything that you want to talk about, we will talk about with you. We will answer your questions, and we will be doing this every week. So, yeah, so we're gonna leave the last 7 of the communication mistakes for the next time that we do a live stream. And they're very important ones. And number 15 is kind of the overall overarching one that is the most powerful one. And we'll talk a lot about how to do that, how to do the opposite of what that one is when we get to it. And so, yeah, thank you so much for being here with us. We love you guys. You are the best part of our community. Thank you so much for helping us reach. I think we're at 93,000 right now subscribers, or 94,000. So thank you so much for helping us get there. And we appreciate you. We love you guys. And we look forward to talking to you soon. And like I said, below this video in the description, there's a link to join. And if we get 20 people signed up, we will do live streams every single week. And we will talk about everything that you want to talk about. So thank you so much. Did you want to say anything? Last parting words, Helena?
No, I think you said it all. Just bye. Thank you for watching till the end. We love you guys. We love creating content for you. We created so much this time that we don't even have time to share it all. So we'll see you next time. And we're really excited. We just have so much great stuff we want to tell you. We love doing live streams too. So yeah, thanks for watching. This was really fun.
Yeah, it's so much fun. I love getting on here and talking to everybody and interacting and seeing all the comments and, you know, hearing what everybody says. So thank you so much. And we will speak with you very soon.